Welcome to Between Sundays. Join Gary Lewis, Mark Williams, Loran Livingston, and David Cooper for candid, transparent conversations about life in ministry. This is more than just sermons and church services. It's the real work of pastoring, the challenges, triumphs, the heart and soul of ministry that happens between Sundays.
Welcome to a very special episode of Between Sundays on the beautiful campus of the Mount Paran Church of God here in Atlanta, Georgia. Pastor Cooper, thank you so much for opening up the campus for us. This is a special episode because we are joined by our wonderful spouses who are in this ministry journey with us. Lori, one of the number one questions we have received from the podcast is, when will you have your spouses join you? I think that those that have been watching and listening, and let me say thank you for those of you that have been with us on this journey, those of you that have shared it with your family and friends, and all who have watched, and we just appreciate you being a part of this journey with us. So many have asked that the spouses be a part of this because I think they don't trust that our stories are completely true, that maybe we're, maybe telling a glossy version of the story. And so to keep us honest, we have Loran and Sandra, Mark and Sandra Kay, David and Barbie, Lori. It is such a thrill to have you and all of these ladies with us who represent our partnerships in ministry. And so we've gotten a ton of questions. And one of those that we're going to start out with this morning is probably the one we've received one of the most often is the one we're going to start with today.
Yeah, well, some people have asked, what do you do to just disconnect, to unwind, when you have that opportunity to step away from all of the demands of ministry? What are some things that you find relaxing and enjoyable?
Okay, so this is going to be kind of like just a personal give and answer kind of thing, but I think the behind that question is this: ministry is 24/7. We all know that. We know that there is no ultimate where you can just shut down and get away, because ministry requires us to be available at all times. And there's going to be times when, we're going to get surprised, or we're going to have something that comes up that we're going to have to attend to. But we all find those places of relaxation in many, many different ways in different places. And I just think those that are listening or watching would enjoy hearing how this group relaxes and what they do for fun and relaxation. And so I'm going to start down at this end with the Livingstons and ask you guys, what's your source of relaxation? What do you do to kind of unpack, unwind, relax from the demands of ministry?
There you go.
Well, I'm pretty boring. I don't have anything exciting that I do, but I love to be with the grandkids. We have them from age 23 to age 8. And I love being with all 8 of them. Love keeping them and just having fun with them. I love being outside. I love working in my yard. I love walking. That probably helps me to unwind the most, is just to get outside.
She walks every day.
I do.
Sometimes by herself, sometimes with the dog. She feeds birds.
Oh, yeah.
We have bird feeders,
yes,
all kinds.
I was asking you before we got started, do you have one of those bird feeders with the camera that you can watch your and you said no, but don't let her find out, because
Right.
she'll want to get one if she does.
Right. We probably won't get one of those. But we have plenty of birds flying around. The hummingbirds are very territorial, and one attacked me the other day. Just came up and stood right there, or they don't stand, they fly. And I thought, I'm going to shoot you. But I'm not that good with a gun. Have you seen a hummingbird fly? So she does that, and if she doesn't get to feed her bird, she says, I didn't get to feed the birds today. And I say, there is a God in heaven, and I'm sure he has a worm or a bug for these birds. But that's not funny to her.
So, I kind of pick it up that you're not like the bird guy.
The yard guy.
Or the yard guy, or the walking guy.
No, that's her ministry.
All right, well, we're going to move on because The goal of this is to encourage.
Hey, be encouraged with us sometimes.
We're encouraged, yeah, of course. Mark and Sandra Kay, welcome. Sandra Kay, welcome to the podcast. It's a delight to have you guys with us. Mark, this has been such a fun journey. I was watching the one from a couple of weeks ago, the podcast from a couple of weeks ago, and literally was in a restaurant laughing out loud as I was watching the conversation between all of us. So I'm sure today it will be a little more tempered because we've got watchful eyes. But what do you and Sandra Kay do to relax?
Sandra Kay?
I was going to say, well, like Sandra, who I admire so much, and it's such an honor to be here with these friends and distinguished people in ministry. I love to walk outdoors. You know, we're on our devices so much, reading and writing, computers and Kindles, and stupid phones. And so what really helps me to unwind is just to get outside. And to walk our neighborhood or walk the Greenway in Cleveland, that really helps me. And I enjoy pulling weeds. It's either a vice or I don't know, but together.
You plant flowers too, or just pull weeds?
No, just the weed. I don't pull flowers. Flowers are supposed to be blooming.
Do you plant flowers or just pull weeds?
No, I pull weeds. Someone else planted the flowers.
That's a great business idea. Just the
well,
weed.
no thanks.
The weed
I don't want to do it
and
full
it may
time.
be therapy if you're thinking of people as you're pulling them. You know, I mean, it may be some kind of
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can have a beautiful flower bed, but if there are weeds, it just mars
I agree.
the beauty. And so it's more about beautifying and cleaning up. I guess. Yeah.
and being out.
And being, yes, definitely being outside and seeing the sunshine. I even walk sometimes in the rain. I'll just put on a hoodie, if not heavy rain, but you know, if it's just sprinkling, I don't let it stop me.
It is
Yeah.
soothing to walk in the rain.
Yeah.
My dad called it liquid sunshine. He would sit out under the awning and just watch the rain, and yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we also both like the water, we like the mountains. Sometimes we just get in the car and we drive out toward Ocoee, the areas where they had the Olympics rafting. There's a little restaurant up there called the Damn Deli that we do go to from time to time. I guess I'm laughing because it is the one place that
Mark,
I can,
say that angry. Let's see what this sounds
that I
like. You go to the
it's the one place we can
Damn
go and
Deli.
say damn
it,
without.
yeah. You gotta be careful
He
with
gets
that.
the
with
Ocoee
immunity.
Dam Burger.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah. So, no, but we love the water, love the beach, love the mountains. So, yeah.
David and Barbie, what do you guys do?
Well, Thursday night is date night. And that's important because we take every Thursday night to be together.
I'm trying to get the other 6 as date nights, but I can't.
No, you can't.
Get it
Just
happening yet.
Too busy.
She
We
says
have
we
a
can't
rule.
go out every night. And I'll
We
say,
have
why
a
not?
rule on date night.
We do.
Yes, we do. We're not going to talk about ministry. We're not going to talk about family. We're just going to talk with each other. And
About
that's
stuff that doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. We look forward to that. We also have bikes, and we ride bikes on the Silver Comet Trail, and we'll go 13, 14, 15 miles.
We hike the mountains, Kennesaw, and
We
Stone
hike the
Mountain sometimes.
mountains. I had to make him start wearing a helmet on the Silver Comet Trail, though, because one time he's in front of me and he has headphones on and he's singing and listening to music, Andre Crouch, and he couldn't hear me.
I think it's Allman Brothers Band.
Maybe- no, I think
because
it
it's
was
a
Andre.
religious program.
I was behind him, and in slow motion, I saw him do this and go on his head on cement, and I felt like there were angelic hands just going like this. It was a wonder he didn't break his head.
I got a hard head.
Oh.
Everybody
does.
knows that.
It does
honey.
explain
But
a lot,
after
come
that-
to think of it.
Yeah, I was going to say
Helmets.
we've never thought about that before.
Yeah, so that's two of the things that we like
That's
to
a very
do.
nice way of saying I'm hard-headed, but I appreciate
Oh,
the
you
story.
so
yeah.
are.
Well, she feeds. We have possums and a raccoon from the woods, and now
Yeah.
I have to order food online, and she goes out every night and feeds them, and it's there's a whole ritual now. They come out at certain times, and it's.
Yes, they're not afraid of my dog either, because they know he's beyond that wall, and he can bark, but he can't get to them. So the possum will just look at him and go, and the raccoon will sit there and just eat the apples.
Is that relaxing?
You know what the takeaway from this podcast is going to be? That you guys have pet possums and raccoons.
Yeah, and a dachshund.
And hard head.
And birds, and birds.
We already knew that.
And birds, and a weed pulling business. So.
Yeah, and Lori, what do we do?
Well, we used to walk, but that kind of went out the window a year ago, except through airports. But we enjoyed. We got a great greenway in Cleveland when we get the opportunity to go there.
When we're home,
When we were home, but we just like to be at home sometimes. Like you said, we have a lot of travel to just get to relax at home and just watch a movie together or something, and with the kids and grandkids, and then. My personal is harp, so I know. Yeah, you knew I was going to go there.
Yeah, for sure.
But it started with 1, and now I have 4. But yeah, it's
I've got
relaxing.
more guitars.
I'm sure you do.
And now for David, music's a piece of that for you.
Yeah.
Relaxation.
Yes, I love my life. I love. It's simple. I think that's a common theme.
I think that's the common thread. It's simple.
I think the minister's life is upside down. I think the whole thing about the ministry is opposite. And for people to enjoy the ministry, they have to understand that. We can't get up on Sunday morning and say, let's go to the lake today. Sunday is our biggest work day. We're wound tight as a drum. We're on call 24/7 if somebody has an emergency. And so I think all the ministers, what they're hearing is, this is the only way you can enjoy the ministry. You have to have an upside down life. Everything that people think is fun for them is opposite. We travel all the time and preach. You'd rather stay home because you've traveled and we've been places. But that's the beauty of the ministry. It is a higher calling, and it's a different lifestyle. And people, if they don't know that, they're going to have a hard time with the ministry. When the world's resting, we're working, and it's just very backwards. But I find this sounds very normal to me for ministers.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway for me would be what you guys have said is very true for us. You said boring. I guess we're very boring as well, because that's for us. Relaxation is being at home, being in the yard, going for a walk, watching TV, watching a ball game, listening to Lori play her harp. Well, that's for a little while. Eventually, it starts.
Leave her alone.
Thank you.
It never gets old. Loren's helping me over here. It never gets old. I can listen to it forever.
And she tells me to turn it down, but she doesn't tell me to stop playing. But,
see, yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
I get it.
If you don't mind my interrupting.
No, not at all.
She is as called as I am to do what she does. Therefore, she's not upset that I have this, you call it the burden of the word of the Lord. You have the shepherd's mantle on you. That doesn't bother her. She married that, and she was called to that. We've been married 52 years. We are together all the time. That's the truth. Wouldn't you say most every day we are together? We eat together. We do everything together. So when we do go out to eat at a restaurant, there's really nothing new to talk about. We order and look at each other.
That's true. And talk about the birds in the backyard.
Yes. Or she texts the kids and the grandkids, and I just watch her do it. But the important thing is, if your wife is not called to the ministry, you're going to have a hard load to pull. That's why young men need to be very prayerful and careful about who they even consider marrying. It's got to be a called person.
I would love to hear the women talk about that from their perspective, and Barbie's always given me complete freedom. She says, I'm a married person with a bachelor's lifestyle. If I have to go do something, she never complains. Yeah. If I have to do something after church, she never, because she has a complete buy-in and shares the ministry. And yet I've heard many times that many pastors' wives get upset, or they don't like all the responsibility that comes with it. I think it's a great time for the wives here to talk about what a woman gives up. One of the greatest books I ever read, I only got through the introduction, but it changed my life, was The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And there's a high cost of ministry. The rewards are unbelievable, though, really. But there is a cost to the pastor's wife and what she has to give up and carry and shoulder that I think women need to know that. It's a wonderful, glorious thing to be called to the ministry. It's without a doubt the highest privilege of life. But I think it would be good to hear them talk about their perspective of how they are able to enjoy the ministry, and it's all of them seem to really enjoy it and have found a way through it. The women don't have to burn out, the wives don't have to get bitter and feel like the church is making them do too much. I'd love to hear them talk about how they handle the ministry and their perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandra Kay, what about you?
Well, I love ministry.
Yeah.
When we pastored, there was no other place on earth I would rather be on a Sunday morning than at the church that we loved and served, whether that was South Cleveland in the 90s or in Tampa, Florida at River Hills in the early 2000s, or the 8 years that we were at North Cleveland. I love ministry. But as far as this business of women maybe becoming bitter, sadly, I have seen women who were like Habakkuk saying, "How long, our Lord?" Or David, "How long, O Lord, do I cry out? How long are we going to be here?" I cried every time we left a church. But I know that there are those who are burdened down or feel very alone or under a microscope or feel like they're not measuring up. And I feel like that's a really sad place for women to be. And so I don't know the answer for them. All I know is that when I answered the call at 16 years old in 1985, I said, "I'll go where you want me to go and do what you want me to do and be what you want me to be." And that just happened to be along with this wonderful man of God. And so it's been a partnership and a journey since 1989. And there's nothing I would rather do than to serve the Lord along with my husband. So
I think that goes back to what you said, Loran. It's a calling. It's because there's no such thing as one spouse being in the ministry and the other not. If you're pastoring a church, by nature of being married to that pastor, you are in ministry. You're going to sacrifice things. You're going to be expected to be a part of things, and so I think sometimes the spouse maybe doesn't feel that call that the other one feels, or maybe not as strongly, and that's going to be bring conflict. But beyond that, I think to those young, obviously there's young couples that are watching, they have kids at home, and the stress and the pressure of managing a family, school, some of them working jobs, church. I think the one thing that I get from this conversation is the simplicity of life. Don't overcomplicate your life, but when you have those opportunities to just be a family, when you have those opportunities, and there's always those seasons when things are just crazy and it's just, you're going 100 miles per hour. I say all the time, I'll look at a calendar and say, we just got to hang on until blank date. The next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be crazy. But if we'll just hang on, we'll have a night at home in about 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. And so, I just think that there's got to be that simplicity of your life if you're going to, like you said, Dave, if you're going to enjoy it's upside down for us. We don't have Sundays off. We usually don't have Saturdays off. And so when the rest of the world is getting off work on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, they're at the beach or the lake or doing whatever they're doing, pastors and ministers are involved in what's going to happen that weekend at their churches. Yes. And so you've got to make that place in other areas and at other times and find a way to make all of that work.
Bishop, I just recall to mind a thing that Sister Carmelita Walker said back in the early 90s or mid-90s. There were these school of, what was that called that they did?
School of Ministry.
Paul, and it wasn't School of Ministry, but it was
Ministry Now
workshops. And it was in Chattanooga. I was a very young pastor's wife there at South Cleveland. And she gave us a bit of advice that really stuck. And that is, every pastor's wife needs an outlet. whether that be a hobby, a job, something outside just the church. Otherwise, your whole identity will be wrapped up in that church rather than who you are in Christ. And so it was from that advice that I got involved in New Hope Pregnancy Care Center and became a Tuesday counselor there. And it gave me an opportunity to be part of the community outside of my local church, because it's very easy for all of us to get blinders on where all that we think about is just our local congregation. And there's a whole world out there that needs our love and influence as well. So thanks to Carmelita Walker, I've always had some type of connection with friends or people outside of the local ministry. Even when we were in California, I made friends with the moms of the students that my boys went to school with.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the green room before we came out here. And Lori and Barbie and Sandra and I, and we've talked before, people don't realize the trauma you can have in your family. We are going through a trauma, a serious, debilitating, spiritually draining trauma in our family. And all we have is each other. Some things you can't take to the congregation. Some things you can't say, pray with me about this. Some things you just hold hands and get on your knees and cry out to God. That creates a bond like you can't describe. But when people don't realize, when they see us sitting on the stage today, all these women are beautiful, and 3 of these guys are very handsome.
Thank you. I'm going to include myself in one of those 3. I'm assuming you're talking about David down there as the odd man out.
I don't think so.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Continue.
It's more than just having an outlet at times. It's having a bond that gets you through it. We raised 4 daughters. And I did, back in those days, I did camp meetings. Every summer I was gone for camp meetings and conferences, and she had to do it alone.
Yep.
She raised them alone. She went to church. She took them to church. She's the first member of our choir. She's still singing in the choir. We're involved in that. But it's really important for young pastors and their wives, and even older pastors and their wives, to understand this is not easy.
Yeah.
And it's not always fun.
Yeah.
It's ministry. But David said it, and it's just ringing in my head. The rewards cannot be described. They're laid up in heaven. We've got crowns laid up. We've got treasures laid up. And if we can just be faithful to God, love each other, continue to take care of God's church, brother, when we get to heaven, it will be, we won't even remember this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to say, I feel like I had an advantage because I was raised in a minister's home. My dad pastored most of his ministry, and I had the greatest example of a pastor and pastor's wife. My parents, to me, were just the best, especially my mom. She just had a smile, and she loved people.
Yeah.
And I feel like she passed that on to me.
Yeah.
And my parents also taught us that it was a privilege to be called to ministry.
That's right.
So it wasn't a bad mouthing the people or it was all, we were blessed to be called.
Yeah.
And I just thank God, because I know a lot of ministers' children who did not have that perspective, even as older adults. But I was just blessed with parents who loved the Lord, who loved ministry, and set the greatest example for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially after they both passed away, I just felt this almost like a mantle
Yes.
that fell on me that I needed to carry on.
Yeah.
So that's a blessing in my life.
Yeah.
To me, that I've been in it all my life. I don't feel like I'm in a fishbowl, even though our church is larger than my parents had. It's just
all
how
we
it
know.
is.
It's
It's all I
ministry.
know. Yes.
Yeah.
Bishop, I'm hearing we have women that have poured into our lives. And because of that, we're able to do what we do. David's mother prepared me for the ministry. I was raised Episcopalian, did not understand what Pentecostalism was. And when we got engaged and he went off to California to evangelize, I spent every single weekend with his family. And she prepared me for the ministry, even to the point of when I was ready to walk down the aisle to say I will, she got me in the back room and said, "Are you sure?" Because the ministry comes first.
Yeah.
And I found my place because some of our gifts are the same. Some are not. I'm highly organized. I'm an administrator. I'm gifted in the vocal gifts in prayer. He's a musician. He's an artist.
And
He's
disorganized.
disorganized.
Artists
It
covered
worked.
that.
In a church together, we were able to go anywhere and do anything God wanted us to do because we had some of the same gifts and some of the different gifts that helped us to build the ministry and feel free to love what we were doing.
And my parents weren't in the ministry. Yours weren't, for sure.
No.
My mother was one of the most amazing spiritual women. She taught me a few core values about ministry. How she had the insights into them, I do not know. But I think Barbie's time with her shaped her view of me. My mother seemed to understand the cost of discipleship and the demands. Somehow she understood it, and Barbie says that it helped prepare her.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what you said, Sandra. I think we've lost the we've lost the significance and the honor of being called. I think that
Yes.
to so many younger ministers, I would say there's still something about that call that you have to, sometimes you just have to go back and grab hold of. God called me. God chose me.
You never get used to it.
You never get used to it. And it should never become commonplace, and it should always be the Ebenezer that you go back to in those moments of discouragement and in those moments of pain. Go back to that place and say, you know what? The sovereign creator of the universe chose me to do this. And I think there's just something about that call that I'm so honored that God would call me. And Lorraine, you said it, there's cost to it. I was talking to somebody yesterday and asked me about being the general overseer and what does that mean? I said, well, the reward is great. All kinds of perks. Man, we're blessed. I said, but there's a lot of stuff that you got to deal with. And I said, and here's the thing that I've learned. The reward is great, and I'm honored and humbled that God would even think to put us in this place. But you also got to realize it's 24/7 relentless. And so there's a cost. And people see those of you sitting on the stage, and we're at Mount Paran Church of God, and they say, wow, look, I wish, must be nice. Look what there's not a person on this stage who hasn't paid a great cost for the ministry that God called them to. But great also, Mark, is the reward that God has for those who surrender to that call.
That is so true. I was thinking of the writings of the Apostle Paul when he said, we have this treasure in jars of clay. And so many times we hear ministry defined as a duty to be performed rather than a treasure to be valued.
Wow.
And I think there are those wake-up moments when we are reminded that this is a treasure that God has put into us. It's a treasure in jars of clay. And one reason why this conversation is so important to me is because there are times, especially early in ministry and even now, when I wonder, here we are in ministry, but at home, is what we're going through normal? It helps to kind of normalize. I mean, is it normal for a minister's family to go through crisis? Is it normal for a ministry's family to suffer trauma? Is it normal at times to go through times when you need to reach out for help? So I think these conversations are so valuable because, again, they remind me that we do have this ministry as a treasure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one thing that we need to be reminded of too, and we'll take a break here in just a second, is as you do this journey of ministry, obviously as your life changes, so doesn't the ministry change. Right. And so, Lori, I think of us, it's so different today than it was when we had 3 little kids at home.
There are seasons.
And we were away from our family. And
I remember those days well.
Lived close. And it was Lorraine, you mentioned it many times that Lori was the one, we made a decision our kids needed to be in a local church. So every Sunday when I went and preached somewhere, her and the kids stayed at home and went to church because we felt like they needed to be a part of a church. So you sacrificed tons when the kids were at home. And there's young families watching right now, and they're, probably spouses out there thinking, I'm carrying it all. I'm the one cooking, cleaning the house, watching the kids, and he or she's over there at the church doing whatever they do. And so obviously that's different for us now. That our situation now is more like probably what you said. We're together.
But I remember
all
those
the time.
seasons. They were good seasons, but they were tough. And there were times. But I knew. But that is like you were saying, where the calling comes in. I knew when I said yes to you, I felt that call as well. And I knew God had called us. I didn't know, obviously I had no idea it was going to lead us to where we are now. But that meant going to Alaska. That meant going to mission states and places that we were told by people I esteem and love, don't go there. They're going to leave you there, don't go there. But the Lord told us to go there, and we went there, and I had never said no to any place that we've been asked to go. I never pitched a fit or cried, and I might have cried a little bit, but I never said, I absolutely am not going there. I went, I did, I loved wherever we were serving. I loved the people because I knew that was what God wanted us to do. And yes, it was difficult. I'm not saying there wasn't times of utter frustration, and sometimes you're questioning, okay, God, is this really you? But in my heart of hearts, I knew we were in the right place and at the right time. And God showed us so many, not that he had to, but he proved himself over and over and over again that he was ordering our steps. And I remember when my kids were little, and I would be a little bit, I'll be honest, I was very jealous of people who could just say, oh, my parents are keeping the kids this weekend so we can do so and so. I thought, must be nice because I don't have any parents that live, they're 10 hours away or whatever, and it was, I do remember those times, you're thinking, wow, but God always provided, and he always took care of us. And I linked in with people that I got to know and love and trust. And as my children got a little, when they were small, I was very protective. And as they got a little bit older, I was still protective. But when I knew there were people I could trust, they would help. Yeah. And that's what you have to do, is to find a community around you that will support you and love you and help you when you find yourself in those places where you're kind of separated from family and friends. But there are seasons that you go through, and when you have little ones, it can be, those are tough years.
Tough years, for
but
sure.
If you get, you'll get through it, and you just rely on the Lord and the people that your friends, and don't isolate yourself, I guess is the best thing to say. Don't, find friendships, good people who will pour into you and will encourage you and offer help. Okay, I tell you what, we're going to take a break right there. We're going to come back, Lori. I'll let you kick off from right there, because I do think we maybe need to take the conversation to family and children. And again, I think we all recognize those seasons of life. For us, it is so, I don't want to use the word easy, but it is much easier now than it was when we had 3 little kids at home. And I'll say you carried 90% of the responsibility of our home because of my obligations with the church. And so that's different today than it was then, because, the kids are not at the house anymore. And so, but for those that still have children at home, I would say, and easy to look back and give advice, but there's things I would do different, the things that I thought were important at the time that I look at now and realize had
my kids remember me not being there. The people that I was at this special meeting or this had to be their service or what, don't even remember me being at that special service. So I would say
Isn't that
the
the
things
truth?
that seem so important today,
Yes.
trust me, will not be as important one day. And so your family has to be a priority of your ministry. And so we're going to come back in just a moment. Thanks for joining us today. What a great conversation. It's great having our spouses with us. This has been such a fun conversation. We'll be back right after this break.
You're listening to the Between Sundays podcast.
Welcome back to Between Sundays, and we were just having a break and talking about seasons in ministry, and I was sharing about when our children were small, and we were actually in state youth work at the time, so it was a little different dynamic. We had to find a home church, and just that's where I settled with the kids, so we weren't bouncing around from church to church every Sunday with my husband. But Sandra, could you give us a little bit of perspective from your standpoint, because you were the pastor's wife at a local church when your children were small, and how that was for you?
Well, we had 4 daughters, and I felt like so many times I was missing out on ministry. I was home with the kids. He did travel a lot, especially in the summer. And sometimes we'd travel with him if we could, but I just felt like, Lord, I just want to be in ministry. I was seeing all these other women going on mission trips or, doing all this stuff that I was home with the kids. And, I'm not saying I wasn't jealous, even though he was working very hard, but I just felt always stuck at home and I was not in ministry. And then one day it was like the Lord just slapped me in the face and said, you are in the greatest ministry. You are raising these girls to know the Lord. You're raising them in my ways, and that is the greatest thing that you could do.
So good.
Because I had observed some people I knew who were, it's like they were stepping over their families to go minister. Mission trips or whatever, and all that's good. I finally was able to go on mission trips after the girls got older, but I just thought, you don't step over what's right in front of you to go minister.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful day when the Lord just opened my eyes to that.
Yes.
That's part of the ministry.
Yes.
And part of that call.
So, Lori, I appreciate you bringing up the seasons, and I can certainly identify with Sister Sandra. When we were serving, not pastoring, but at headquarters, okay, so we moved into Cleveland in 2008, and my youngest was 7, and my oldest at that time was 13. And we were invited to a state for a meeting, and the overseer wanted me to come and honor his wife, which I would have loved to do because I adored her, and she was a hero to me. But I couldn't leave because, for various reasons. And so that overseer said, you're not always going to be able to use your kids as an excuse. And so I just gently said, my children are my priority.
That's right.
And I think he accepted it. And that ministry in the home is the most important ministry. And so even when he served as General Overseer and the time that we were on the committee before, he was traveling a lot, which was just part of it. I knew it was part of it. And I counted up all the days, and it added up to 2 years out of those 8 years that I, was a single mom. But it was my privilege. It wasn't an obligation and a duty. They're my children. There was nothing more important in the world than that. I will tell this quick story on my husband. We were in Tampa, and
Please, feel free.
Austin was in children's church, and Ryan was still little. And so, like in a carrier, that kind of thing. And so when church was over, I told him, I'm going to take Ryan, we came in separate cars, I'm going to take Ryan and go on home and get lunch ready, and you get Austin. Well, the children's church director calls and says, are y'all going to get Austin? So he forgot him one time.
I was almost home.
And had to go back and get him. But sometimes when we are in ministry, children can become neglected, maybe. Not that my husband neglected my kids. My boys adore their father. He was a wonderful father, is a wonderful father. But they understood the demands on him. And so what I made a priority of was to have my children in church.
Yes.
Every Wednesday night, every Sunday night, they were in children's church or youth group so that they would have community. And so ministry doesn't mean that you're not going to have a healthy, godly family. I don't think it has to be one or the other. And your parents, that example that you gained, I was so blessed with good role models. My grandmother, who helped my grandfather build 22 churches, she helped lay the brick and everything. My mother-in-law, who is now 95, who just loved people, and she showed me how to love people. And when they were in overseer work, she couldn't remember everybody's name, and so she'd just call everybody pretty girl. So everybody loved Sister Rosemarie, but she was just a wonderful role model. And I think if you don't have heritage in the church as a woman in ministry, find you some mentors, find you people that you admire, who seem to be good examples of how to manage both ministry and family.
Amen. Yeah. Barbie, listen, we've not heard any juicy stories on David yet, and so we got to hear from you.
Look, David.
Have at it, honey.
David is a wonderful husband and father, and because I'm a highly organized individual, I would let him go do what he had to do in ministry. And then I would say, okay, this is it. You have to be at this dance recital. You have to be at this production. You have to be at this baseball game. You have to be at this basketball game. From the time they were little, they were raised in the ministry. They understood the ministry. They participated in ministry. Except my son, in one production, they had him dressed up like a frog.
A bee.
A bee.
Yeah.
And he said to Daddy, I don't want to be a bee anymore. And so from that point on, David Paul went behind the cameras, and our daughter was like in front of the camera.
That was at Mount Paran.
That was at Mount
They
Paran.
had the Be Happy, and they all dressed like bees. He walked out the stage with those stupid bee things on his head. He said,
It was
Dad,
all-
do I have to do
And
this
just
again?
for the
I
record,
said,
that's
no,
when
never
Paul Walker
again.
was the pastor, not
That's
David
right.
Cooper.
That's
No,
right.
I was the pastor of this church.
Yes.
You were the pastor at the time when they did the Be Happy?
Yeah, but he said, can I never do this again? I said, you don't have to do it. You did it this time, that's great. You never have to do it again. Yeah. Which I think is important to let children
That's right.
Yeah.
find their own pace and their own rhythm.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a good place to end on not making your kids dress up like bees and be happy. Choose not to. We're gonna come back, but we're gonna finish up this episode by again thanking everybody for joining us. What some great conversation, just to hear different perspectives. But I think my takeaway today, Lori, for me is, we sometimes think our life is boring. We think that, we've dropped the ball in a bunch of places, but I think we're just normal, and so I feel better about what we've done being with these dysfunctional people. I feel like we're not as dysfunctional as I thought we were. No, but I think I would say to those families with young children, everything's a season. Enjoy your family. Enjoy this time. It is a vapor, and time goes by so fast. And when you're in that season, you're thinking, dear Lord, just let them grow up. Please let them grow up. They will grow up. Enjoy this time with your family. And, I think, Lorraine, you mentioned it earlier, when you marry somebody that has that call to ministry, your children don't have that option.
Right.
They're born into the ministry.
A story. Do you mind?
No, I think it's great.
So Sandra and I wanted our kids to have the experience of traveling and doing camp meetings, so we took them with us as much as we could. I could tell some stories. in one big state. 4 little girls, Sandra and I, were put in one room, a block motel, and there was a swimming pool right outside the door. So every day I would get in the corner and pull the covers over my head and pray and study. Little bathing suit on and ran in and out and played in the pool, and she tried to keep them quiet. This went on for a week, you know, when we used to do them for a week.
All week long.
And I thought I would lose my mind. Can you imagine being in a corner with a blanket over your head trying to study and pray and get the anointing? But they had that experience. We went to another place, and one of our girls, and 2 of our girls had real kinky hair, and 2 had real straight hair. Well, the kinky-headed one we found lice. And she spent a good part of a whole day in the room we were staying on the campground. We were picking lice out of her hair, and no air, and it was in the summer. And
you're preaching that night.
That night, yes. And my girls would say things like, how long are we going to stay? Are we going to do this anymore? Yeah. Do we have to do this ever again? But they remember it.
They remember it.
That's ministry.
That's ministry.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were state directors, and they were going with me somewhere. Sarah wasn't born yet. It was just the 2 boys. And they were crying in the back and fussing, wanting to stop. And I looked at Lori and I said, now I know why I never bring you with me. Now I know why. Now I know why you guys stay at home, because when we pull into this church, I'm going to be frazzled. Yeah. This is chaos, and I've got to preach in 20 minutes. And so it's the fun of, we look back on it, and Lori's laughing now. We look back on it, and it's, you know, those are great memories that at the time seem like the end of the world, but you look back on it and you see how God was just faithful, faithful to your
One
family.
of the things I did was take David Paul when he was elementary school, even as a teenager. If I was going to preach somewhere, he went so many places, just me and him.
Yeah.
With me. And if I had books or CDs or something, he would run the table, and we had some great experiences, just the 2 of us. And Barbie would stay home with Charlesy. They can be great times, wonderful times.
Yeah.
We took Charlesy when she was 5 to Mexico. And they put her in the children's church, and he was preaching, and then all of a sudden I looked at the back, and they're bringing my daughter in crying, and I'm thinking, oh no, what happened? So they brought her in, and I kind of got off to the side, and I said, Charlesy Lynn, what happened? And she said, they just keep speaking in tongues, and I can't understand, or I can't interpret. She goes, there was tongues, Mommy, and I didn't have the interpretation, and so I learned, when we were traveling in foreign, oh my goodness, but you remember these things, and they remember these things.
For sure.
Of course.
Well, you were just talking about how the time passes so quickly and they're grown. A woman said to me one time, they're long days, short years.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great description of a family and raising kids.
It's very profound.
Long days,
Very good.
short years.
Yeah, David, you mentioned about taking Dave Paul with you. I remember one time I took Jordan because I thought, you know what, Sarah was brand new born, and Jordan at that time was probably 6 or 7. So I thought, you know what, I'll take him with me, give her a little break. And so I'm literally up preaching. It's just me and him, so he's sitting on the front row. I'm up preaching at some small church somewhere, and he got up and walked out, went out the back door. And so, I kept thinking, well, somebody in this church is going to go check on my son.
No.
So I literally had to stop preaching. I said, excuse me for a minute, I'm going to stop. Does somebody mind to go out? Because it was one of those churches that the back doors went right outside, no foyer or anything. And I said, would somebody mind to go find out where my son went? Because nobody's. So, yeah, you remember those stories.
Yes.
You remember that
You should tell about South Cleveland when Ryan Austin got away.
I'm sorry, but I got to tell this real quick. We were pastoring at South Cleveland. Ryan was how old? Just a toddler.
Austin. Ryan was born in Tampa.
Yeah, Austin was how old?
Austin would have been a toddler.
Just a toddler. And so it was the early morning service. And so there had been one of our drummers would take Austin from time to time, put him up on his lap and play the drums and that with him. when rehearsals, things like that. So anyway, I'm preaching
The
in
early
the
service.
early service, and all of a sudden, the back foyer doors open, and here is little Austin while I'm preaching.
Just coming right down the middle
right down the aisle, and I'm preaching, goes right up on the platform, sits right there on the drums. I intercept him as he's going up. Nobody was helping me. No one was reaching out for him. So I just held him in my arms and just kept right on preaching.
He preached with him in his arms.
That's right.
I wasn't there, by the way.
Yes.
I would have intercepted.
Yeah. So
I found that the season of small children is the easiest. It seems inverted to me.
Yeah.
And the other thing that strikes me as odd is I haven't found any season of life difficult yet.
Yeah.
I think what you said about season, if you just focus on the season you're in and you kind of know what it is, whether it's winter or summer,
Yep.
and you can accept this is the season we're in, you'll eventually get through it. If you fight it, if you deny it, if you just say, this is what we're in right now, so let's figure out how to deal with it and dress for the season, you'll eventually get out of that season. It doesn't have to be overwhelming at all. And there's joy in all of it. I mean, that's amazing, the fact that you could hold him in your arms for a minute.
And preach.
Really. The fact that he could be with me traveling somewhere to preach.
And find the
those are
joy
precious.
in it. Find
It's
the joy.
amazing,
I
yes.
would say for us, and again, Lori being here keeps me honest, but I don't know that there's a place we've lived that we haven't enjoyed it and haven't had fun, and the kids enjoyed it and had fun, and memories that we have for a lifetime of just the opportunities that God has given us to the places that we've lived and the people that we've met. And and there's been, not that all of them have not had their challenges, and that there's not been areas where we've, been discouraged, and times when we thought, why did we do this? I'm not saying it's been all perfect, but there's definitely, it's been fun. And, we enjoyed it with our kids, and we just made a decision that we didn't want ministry for our kids to be something that they see as a negative or as a, why would anybody, we wanted them to see that, like you said, Sandra, you said it earlier, it's the truth. This is such a blessing. We are blessed that God chose our family to do this. He chose us. He could have chose millions of other people. He chose us. And so we just always tried to make it, fun probably isn't a spiritual word, but we tried to make it fun, to just enjoy this season with its challenges, with its, and I look back over our seasons of life, and there are times, that things about when the kids were little that we miss. There's things that I don't miss about when the kids were little, but there's things that we do miss, and we'll talk about. And there's things about this season of life that we love, that now that they're older and you can do stuff together, and so you have to embrace, David. Great.
Yes.
Analogy. You got to embrace the season, and I think you said you got to dress for the season that you're in.
Yes.
And what a great truth for us to end on. I think whatever season you find yourself in today, embrace the season. God's put you where you're at. God's put you in that place. Flourish, grow there, enjoy there, and know that God has called you. And Loran, you said it. The reward is going to be great in heaven one day for the sacrifice that you make today. And know that God has His hand on you and on your family, and cares just as much about them as He does you. And that call on you is a call that's on them as well. And I believe that God will see you through this season with joy and with great laughter and great simplicity as you walk through this season of your life. Thanks for joining us today on Between Sundays. Again, to all of our wives, thank you for being here with us. What a great episode, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you share it with your friends and your family. It's on your podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, on Facebook, on YouTube. Join us next time on Between Sundays.
Between Sundays is a member of the Church of God Global Communications Podcast Network.